morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever it is, folks. This is ZU Dracul, and welcome to the first episode back to my Pokemon series. Today isn't actually going to be a Pokemon review. Those will be coming out on Sundays, which will be, the first one will be this Sunday. I was going to do it last Sunday, but some stuff happened and some videos the video got corrupted, and I, again, just like with the episode 10 of my Shadow Colossus series. But that aside, I've got it re-recorded and that will be coming out Sunday. This video is going to be about Zygarde in his new forms. Now, there's a ton of videos about this already on the internet, but this is going to be more so talking about the design aspect and how all of them so far have been linked to Norse mythology. You had Yveltal, which was to symbolize the nameless hawk that sits on top of the world tree. You had Xerneas, who was the stag that eats the foliage around the world tree. And Zygarde was always thought to be Nidhogg, the serpent that ate at the roots of the world tree. Now, this always made me wonder why. I mean, sure, he's a serpent, and that's a serpent. But what I always wondered about that was, hawks can, tend to be, or birds in general tend to be a symbolization of death. This was also taken during the Black Plague, that the plague doctors dressed as birds for the most part. And you always think of crows, stuff like that when you think of death. So you have the big bird, who's technically a hawk, but he's still a bird, and he symbolizes death. And then Xerneas, who symbolizes life, is kind of like a tree, but also he has the rainbow antlers like the stags that eat at the foliage around the base of the world tree, and that's what he's based on. And Zygarde was supposed to be the balance, and was supposed to keep either one from running rampant, which Nidhogg doesn't do that. Nidhogg is actually one of the things that is theorized in terms of when you're talking about Norse mythology to possibly bring about Ragnarok of all things. So why would balance want to bring Ragnarok? And it's not so much that it wants to bring Ragnarok, it's just that when the world tree collapses, that's Ragnarok happens. So and Nidhogg eats at the roots, and eventually that will kill the tree and therefore bring Ragnarok. And at least that's what's theorized as to how that will happen. But with this new information, I have a new theory about who Zygarde is, and actually an idea for each and every one of his forms, starting with the cell and working all the way up. Zygarde can be broken down into two words in both French and Nordic. In French, you have Zy, taken from zygote, which, mixing with its shape and everything that we know about it, and especially its new cellular forms, that makes sense, because it's a whole bunch of them, and zygotes eventually become a bunch and make a being, which is exactly what Zygarde does, what all the Zygarde cells do. And guard meaning to protect, looking at the whole protection part of it, where he's supposed to be balanced, protecting nature, stuff like that. But you can also break it down into Nordic, which is zygotos, which literally means egg, or to yolk, which we're going to take that as a similar meaning as zygote in this case. And Midgard, which is Earth, the world. And this is where things get really interesting, because there's a serpent who is nicknamed the Midgard serpent. And this serpent is, sorry for mispronunciation, Nordic stuff is really hard to pronounce. Dromengander, which is the Midgard serpent, and is one of the three children of Loki. Odin banishes Dromengander to and throws him into an ocean sort of thing, and he grows extremely big, and he wraps around Midgard big enough to where he bites his own tail. and if he ever lets go, the world will end. Which this also brings about balance, because him holding on to the world keeps it together. Without him, it would end, because if he lets go, everything dies. And thus, there again, you have Zygarde's 50% form being a serpent from Norse mythology. Now, his 10% form is also really interesting, because with this new information, we see that he has the zygote form, which is the cell form, which is what plays into his name. And then you have three forms. You have the dog, the serpent, and the giant Gundam wing. It's the only way you can explain that. It's a Gundam. Either that or it's Gurren Lagann. I mean, it's one of the two. But Loki has 3 children, one of which is Fenrir, the wolf, who, due to the fear of Fenrir and the legend of what will happen to Odin when Ragnarok comes, that Fenrir will eat him, he was chained, and he was always chained. If you take a look at Zygarde's second form, the dog, you will see that he has like a scarf, which symbolizes the chain Fenrir was chained with, thus making him his second form, Fenrir. At the same time, he could also be the guardian of Hell, the place, or the person, because there's also a Hell person named Hell. But and that is I took notes. Give me a second. Garm. Why did I not remember that? And he guards Hell. He is the guardian of Hell. So you have Fenrir the Devourer, who will come and eat Odin, thus ending the reign of the gods, or Garm, who protects Hell and is the guardian, the gatekeeper who keeps things in and out. So that's his second form, which that's 2 ways of bringing balance, because the gods of old, Norse mythology, obviously, they wanted to run things their way, so therefore, by them being killed, also Jormungandr kills Thor. But anyways, and ends Ragnarok. That's the end of Ragnarok, because everyone's dead. Everyone. And Thor kills Jormungandr. So, with all of that said, that's 2 things for each. You have the peaceful little serpent that eats at the world tree. You have the serpent that holds things together and ends Ragnarok by killing Thor, the final god. And then you have Garm, who protects the gate of Hell. And you have Fenrir, the one who sort of kickstarts Ragnarok once it starts coming full circle and really starts the war between everybody. And then for the last form, the big Gundam wing, you look at that, it's like, how is this Norse? This looks Japanese. This is definitely Japanese. This is a Gundam. This is a giant mech. Yes, it has a lot of that theme to it. But if you take a look, it has a crown. And Loki's 3rd child is Hel, the goddess of Hell, the place. And thus being the leader and lord of where she's at. So the crown that this 3rd form is wearing represents its station. That it's at full power. This is like the leader. This is the highest, most powerful form that it can be. Thus being that this final form represents Hel, the goddess, a goddess of all things. Of half of the dead. It's about 50-50, the ones that go to Hell and the ones that go to Valhalla. And you have that. So with the list being there, you basically have 1 for protection, 1 for destruction, because Hell's kind of neutral. But when you think about it this way, sometimes destruction brings balance. It doesn't say that he's there to just protect things. He's there to bring balance to things. And sometimes things have to be destroyed for them to balance out. Now, from a design From a design perspective, when you take a look at Zygarde's final form, not only does he have the crown and he's really big, but he also, if you take a look at each arm, one, it has 2 wings and it's got like and it's blue, and one has got the 1 wing and it's red. I might have that backwards. I'm not looking at a picture, but he's got the red and blue on his arms, and it's like one's an X and one's a Y, and it's like, why is he seeming to have the power of both Xerneas and Yveltal? Now, from a perspective of what Zygarde is, he's a ground dragon type. When you look at Xerneas and Yveltal, you have a fairy and a flying type. He's in the hole on either one. How can he defeat them? If he's supposed to bring balance, he has to defeat those 2, because they're the ones that would cause an imbalance. Supposedly, like in their like story or whatever, they were causing imbalance, and therefore Zygarde would have to come up and take them down. But he obviously is in the hole here. But if we take a look at his ability in the 50% form, the one from the original games, it's Aura Breaker. And if we take a look at Xerneas and Yveltal, when they come into the field completely changes with their aura. They're so powerful, you can see their energy just sort of flow out over the area. And when Zygarde comes out, that energy goes away. But energy just doesn't go away, it has to go somewhere. And my theory with this is that Aura Breaker doesn't just destroy the energy. That he cancels it out by absorbing the energy, thus giving him the power over both light and dark, life and death, as well as his own power, which kind of empowers him to be able to fight both this fairy and this flying type, which would mean that his new ability in his 100% form would be like an enhanced Aura Breaker, where instead of just canceling their auras, that he would be more so, it downgrades their type advantages over him, like allowing him to hit them with the ground type moves, or allowing dragon type moves to somehow super effective a fairy or something, or his specific moves to super effective a fairy. And this sort of, like I said, this sort of balances things out for him to fight them, especially if the new form has a better stat base than they do, than his original form did, which more than likely it will, because it's new. It's the new form. It's 50. It's supposed to be 2 times the power of Zygarde, which, if they actually do math that way, is going to have over like 1,000 base stats in some of the cases, and I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Yeah, because if you double Zygarde's stats, it's gonna be no. So I doubt that it'll be double, but we'll see how the stats and stuff are when the whole thing, when the Pokemon actually comes out to us and we see what it is. So that's sort of the Norse mythology behind it, as well as sort of the, like, how would he fight Xerneas and Yveltal with his typing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This took me a lot of time to actually go through and research all this, because I was like, we already knew that, they were linked to Norse mythology, and that was their basis behind all the stuff. But these new forms, I haven't seen anything about how they're linked to Norse mythology, and I was like, I'm gonna do some research and I'm gonna find this information. And I really dug through Norse mythology and like read into everything that I could find. And this is what I came up with. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, I will definitely do more theories, and maybe not just about Pokemon, just, theories in general, because I have some ideas about some really cool stuff. And so if you like the series, go ahead and leave a like. Tell me you like this series and that you want to see more of it. That lets me know that you guys want to see more of it. Because if you tell me in the comments that you want to see more, then I know you want to see more. And if you don't, and I might still make some more videos on it regardless. But if you want to see more, that will definitely get me motivated to make more of these, because, you know, if it makes you guys happy to watch them, I'm definitely happy to make them. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and you subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, have a great day, and peace out.